Alright everyone, the Biloxi public school system is in a little bit of trouble here. You know, on Twitter they get trolled, on their website I'm sure they get plenty of emails, and everyone's talking about them. For banning To Kill a Mockingbird from their schools, because they're like, oh, the people were expressing concern that it had, like, offensive material, it might bother somebody, it might be offensive. To Kill a Mockingbird being racially insensitive and offensive while being one of the hallmarks of anti-racist literature that was ever created. Okay, you might be able to get by, like, the argument that they're making, if you applied it to something like Huckleberry Finn, it would begin to make a little bit more sense. Like, I would still oppose any ban. Like, censorship is always a bad thing. Schools shouldn't be picking and choosing what sort of easily obtained American classic style knowledge should or should not be granted. Like, how many times are you going to force them to read the Great Gatsby? I had to read it 3 friggin' times. I had to read, I think it was 6th grade, 9th grade, and again in like 11th or 12th grade. I had to read that shit 3 times because it doesn't bother anybody. It's just sort of the story of a nouveau riche sort of dude who can't get the old money girl that he wants, so basically just fucking depressed all the time. That's not going to offend many people, unless it's the rampant capitalism that it contains. It might offend a few people too. But I would oppose banning even the most out there literature, stuff that's more malevolent, shouldn't be banned. This happens all the time. These moralists, these pearl clutchers, they don't just do this through schools. Like, they try it in libraries. These are the same sort of morons who, like, tried to burn Beatles records. They're the book burners. They're the book burning crowd. The people that you really, really need to be very, very wary of, and you need to not trust them either. Like, the first thing that all the parents in this school district should do is get the fucking book for their kids. This is the first thing they should do, and they should have a big read-in or something. They really want to protest it, just give them all copies of it. Have them have a massive reading group at the local library or something. Have people show up. Maybe one of the local pizzerias will cater. They probably would. They'd love the attention. That's what you should do, something positive. Kids want to read. I can remember when they were trying to ban Harry Potter, because, you know, that's sort of the right era. I can remember when it was big in the news. They're like, oh, it's going to cause witchcraft, it's going to cause Satanism. We want this out of our schools, we want it out of our libraries. And sometimes, like, they wouldn't let you bring your own copies of the books to actual school. I can remember the More Scary Stories series. Now, this is old. More Scary Stories is quite a bit older. They tried to ban it because of some of the artwork, because some of the stories are too frightening for kids and stuff. I'm sitting there like, you know, this is like young adult folklore, basically. It's probably slightly tuned down from what it could be. Art aside, the art was always shocking until the new releases that are totally different and crummy compared to the old ones. I just never understood why they would try to censor anything. They did the same shit with Pokemon cards. It's like, well, ultimately, if somebody's really, really into Pokemon, they're reading all the guides and fucking comics and the cards and everything, at least they're reading. Yeah, they're developing more vocabulary. Some of it's bullshit, like, oh, hey, you Pikachu or something. Okay, some of it's not real words, but they're probably going to learn some other things related to, like, the skills and the game itself, you know, other than Pokeballs, like poke yourself in the balls. They're probably learning some good stuff in there, too. You shouldn't be banning that which is found interesting and has a literary component. To Kill a Mockingbird is an American classic. It's a very good book. It's very well written. Huckleberry Finn, all of these other things. Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's Court. A lot of these works also have some sexism in them. If they're prior to, like, the 1990s, they probably have sexism by modern standards. Are you going to start banning everything that has any sort of relationship in it at all? You'll be banning most of the books in your friggin' library. You do realize that. Most of the kids' books, certainly from before the last 10 years, they've got to go because they might offend somebody. And who, by the way, fucking cares if some kid is offended? Look, I can remember, I think it was a passage from Huckleberry Finn. And there was a kid in our class, and he was black. And I can remember the English teacher was like, looked like she felt uncomfortable having this particular passage from Huckleberry Finn read out loud in class because it contained the N-word. And so she's like, oh, she practically was like doing the rosary to repent for her sins because of the fact that this existed in a class that had a kid who wasn't white. And he's just sitting there. He's like, what are you talking about? He doesn't care. Why would you? It's an antiquated piece of literature from long ago when that sort of language was not considered too abnormal. From somebody who wasn't really a total racialist anyway. It's like To Kill a Mockingbird is the exact opposite of the kind of literature you're insinuating that it has anything to do with. It's not a racialist manifesto, it's an anti-racism sort of thing anyway. Like, the alt-right is not going to like To Kill a Mockingbird. They're just not going to enjoy it very much. Huckleberry Finn, yeah, maybe sort of. Kind of. Of course, there's an interracial friendship going on in that book, so maybe not on the fringe of it. You get what I mean, though. It's ridiculous. Everyone should be emailing the schools that are involved with this. Everyone should tweet at them. Everyone should take to their Facebook page and try to get people who are actually there, like, organized against this sort of bullshit. Because sometimes what happens is they try censoring one thing, and then it becomes 2 things, and it becomes 20 things, and pretty soon you're in book burner mode. And we've got to do whatever we can, really, to avoid that, I think, as a society. We need to go in the other direction. More liberty, not less. Less censorship, not more, please. That would be a wonderful thing. Especially as applied to online, there are people learning how to read all the time on here. Like, they're encountering all sorts of cool literature they couldn't encounter before, back when they had to go by what was available maybe in their little local library. I think it's a wonderful thing. Anytime the kids are reading, look, you've just maybe deprived some kid of To Kill a Mockingbird who is really interested. Now, half those kids probably won't like the book. Some will be like, oh, it's boring, it's too slow-paced, or what is this shit? This is, like, you know, totally dated. Yeah, maybe so. Others will enjoy it more. Now, you should supply them with the literature. It's classic literature. It's considered one of the all-time greats of that style of writing. Harper Lee was very, very talented individual. And didn't Part 2, like the other variant of it, or like a sequel, just come out? If I remember correctly, I thought it was To Kill a Mockingbird that had a sequel just released. And wasn't it right before she died, too? Or is she still alive? I don't know. I'm still withdrawing from nicotine, so not 100%. That's about all. Peace out.